I suppose you're wondering how I got these skins. These skins yesterday were on CS Money. Now they're in my inventory. And it's a very, very long story. It's been a wild day. It's only a fraction that actually ended up making it through. There were some wild trades that I didn't get to in time. In hindsight, I probably shouldn't have accepted them. Knowing what I know now, we'll get more to that later, but I imagine most of you have seen the video I uploaded. I will go through the basics here though for anybody who hasn't been following the story. Look, obviously, I get up this morning and I noticed there's some things don't look quite right. Like, I've got trade from CS Money with all these skins. They're mostly shit skins. There's some, I guess, very borderline stuff in there, but there's also this one with some, banger looking skins. Then there's this one, and then there's a bunch down here that aren't available anymore, that have been cancelled before I can get to them. I immediately got a bit curious and decided to go to Twitter. I was like, what the f is going on here? Now, I immediately came across this tweet from Zipple. CS Money just had a major exploit / hack / glitch that led them to send dozens of offers purely to traders with large inventories. Maybe a Robinhood on crack. Now, what Zipple means by Robinhood on crack, by the way, is like, instead of taking from the rich and giving it to the poor, this guy's taking from the rich and giving it to the rich. Actually, that just sounds like a metaphor for human history, personally. But anyway, he goes, I got over 30 offers and accepted roughly 10, have been helping them fix it. In the first screenshot, there is a buff message, so I'm confused as to what happened. Every other offered different messages. It is very weird. Zipple then reached out to them on Discord. Now, when Zipple reached out to them, I can confirm CS Money had no idea what was going on, though. This was when they first heard about it, and the reaction apparently was a sight to behold. And they told Zipple, it's best you accept these trades that you're getting because they figured out pretty quickly it's happening to other people. They said to Zipple, accept the trades. It's better you have them than other people, because the reason is they trust Zipple to actually give the items back once the problem's been fixed. Anyway, I saw this and immediately did the same. Probably didn't need to actually, but I immediately did the same. There's a fifth one that's not there. Took them all, put them in here, and the investigations began immediately. And there's a lot of other traders who were getting this. Now, it was always big high profile traders. It was never small guys. And this was interesting because intrinsically, if it was completely random, if the bots just malfunctioned and started sending out trade offers, they should have been sent out equally to all sorts of different people, and it should have been any type of skin too. Like, when you think about it, majority of the skins by definition on CS Money are not going to be good skins. They're going to be cheap skins, and that's because the majority of skins are cheap. But just look at what I received. There is very, very few bad skins in here. They only really sent out the good stuff, and that immediately raised some suspicion. So only big traders were getting it, and they were only getting good skins. Immediately I was looking at this and thinking, there's probably a pattern here. This doesn't seem random. And I know people who are just as big as me when it comes to trading, who probably have done more trades in their lifetime. They didn't receive anything. It was only the famous people getting skins. If that seems weird to you, it should seem weird, because it is weird. Initially, it's clear CS Money didn't know what was going on. In fact, I got told incorrectly that it was a bug. It was not a bug, but I think they were very confused. What happened, I think, was pretty sinister. It definitely caught them off guard. Traders immediately started digging, and honestly, it is impressive how quickly stuff started being found. Now, these investigations continue with the help of Arrow and Rambo Fight, and they end up finding 16 accounts. So if we assume 100k per account, that's 1.6 million. So we can have a look at some of these accounts. Now, these accounts are, I will say, suspect as fuck. Zulab, W2S at 90% on Empire. So these names are meant to imply that these accounts are buying stuff on certain sites. But when you know a bit about skins, you immediately know these names are bullshit. So first of all, buying at 94% on Steam Community Market. Now, that is of course ridiculous nonsense. No one buys at that price. That's not how it works. Cash price is, depending how you look at it, about 65% of Steam market price, maybe even a little bit less. Nowhere near that much. This name is just obvious garbage. Someone's put that there as a bait and switch. That this name is clearly somebody trying to hide something. 90% on Empire, 83% of roll prices, 83% roll. And I'll tell you what, if you look at their inventory, they've been hoarding some good shit. There is some crazy stuff going on. They've just pilfered CS Money for literally everything, and it's completely at odds with everything else that's going on. It's only big traders getting these offers, except for these accounts. It's a little bit fucking suspicious, wouldn't you say? This, gets everyone's attention. I'm going to put up the statement, we'll have a look. Oh yes, statement's just gone up. Pretty generic statement, but I know from speaking to them behind the scenes, there was a very organized attack that broke into their systems and stole these skins. These are indeed the accounts used by the hacker, a series of bot accounts used to hide the skins that they've stolen. They started putting it on private. I do not blame them if they're trying to do that. That is probably the smart thing to do. Yep, they're privating them. And it turns out what's happened here is a bit more complicated than someone just breaking in. Like, when someone broke into HFB's account, like they broke in there, they sold the skins quickly as they can and tried to run, and they ended up getting over 200k. This is a bit more sinister though, and whoever's done this though, they were definitely looking at the HFB hack, because this attack is specifically designed to stop Valve from coming in and reversing everything as easily as they did in the HFB attack. There's a very specific thing they've done to try and not so much cover their tracks, but divert attention. And this is where the trade-off is to big traders came in. So it wasn't an accident. The reason they did that was to divert attention from what they were actually doing, and in particular, make it really complicated for Steam to come in and figure out which accounts are responsible and which ones aren't, and figure out who to ban and who not to ban. Because if you're like a Steam support person, you may not know much about trading. And honestly, like, you might see this guy's account and my account, and the differences might not be immediately apparent. Like, there are some when you look closer, but if you're someone who's not deeply familiar with trading, you might look at this guy and assume he's an ordinary trader, is no different from me. But it also means all these traders have now been implicated in what happened. And like, remember, CS Money essentially said to any big trader who reached out, please accept it so someone else doesn't. Like, because they didn't know what was going on. So this is a worry for anyone who's accepted. I mean, I accepted a bunch of skins, and now this is a liability for me, because there's now a risk I could potentially get accidentally banned, Zip will get potentially get accidentally banned, and a bunch of other people could too. Obviously, I want as much attention on this as possible. I want to make it possible for Valve to identify who the bad actors are. I'm gonna have to return all these skins, but as Zipple points out, you know, if Valve decides to step in, you don't want to be on the wrong side of it. Like, you know, Valve's justice is very blunt, and if they do decide to get involved, which they might try and target the hackers' accounts at the very least. If they decide to do that, there is a risk of a lot of collateral damage, and this is why this hack is quite sinister. Now, people certainly have suggested that CS Money have ties to Steam, closer ties than some other people do. I kind of hope so, because in that case, probably Steam's justice, if any comes, will be much more precise. But it's still a big, major hack, and it's a sign that the hacks are getting more sophisticated.